I want to talk a little bit about predestination and ultimate potential, because I know that in Advaita, in non-duality, there is the idea of everything being played out, everything just happening, and this indeed is what's happening. But predestination, this idea that there is an ultimate conclusion, as there was an ultimate beginning, is somehow very time-bound. I see the whole idea that the word predestination has pre in it in terms of something that happened before, a past, and destination, which means a direction, a ultimate landing point somewhere in a imagined future. So predestination is something that's extremely time-bound, with past, present, and future. This is why I like the term ultimate potential, because potential is something that is life itself unfolding. It's like the seed. You hold the seed in your hand and you see potential. Now you could say there's predestination there as well. Excuse me, but there's the ability to change within that seed. If the weather changes, the seed can wait in terms of its opening. If there's less water, the seed can wait. The birds are a very good example of potential in terms of they come around pretty much around the same time every year, and they do this based on the temperature and how much light there is during the day. This is when they can tell when it's time for them to migrate. And if they migrate into an area that has had less rain than usual, which is very much what we're having where I'm living, then there's less food for the birds because there are less insects and less plants. And the birds adapt the time that they come to that. Now, you could say that this is all part of predestination, and that's a possibility. But I see it as something that is alive, something that is moving and expanding and unfolding every single second, past, present, and future, all involved in it, all happening at once. The explosion that is happening in the reality as it is an incredible thing. We often talk about it as a stillness or a silence. And it is that. But it is an explosive silence. It is a silence that produces sky. It is a silence that produces the grasses and the trees. And it also produces us. And that's something that I wanted to mention, because frequently this body-mind that we are, it tends to be discarded, mentally discarded. That's not important. It's an illusion. Well, illusions are part of the whole. They are expressions of the whole. And while you're not the whole show, you are one of the acts. And that should never be forgotten. This idea that there's no doer, there's nothing to do. They get lost in the translation of words. They get lost from people who have reached an understanding, and then they say, well, there was really nothing to do in the first place. But you forget that some people haven't realized that yet. Some people haven't reached that point yet. So it's very important to understand that, yes, there is something to do, and it's called life. If you look at your life as your practice, then you're going to find that practice is available to you all the time. You can constantly be finding the one out of all the things that you see. It's a fascinating and wonderful meditation, and it's something that you can make part of your life. I've said, when I was getting ready to make this video, I made a note and I said that after you've forgotten everything, you should never forget your importance and your ability to change. And that's a really important thing to remember. That you do have a degree of control, even though life seems to be having an inevitable end, and no doubt that it does, in terms of your body. But that which you are, the spirit which you are, is something that is creating and moving and traveling and just fabulously operating on an ongoing basis. And it's very important to look at life as this unfolding. The good things, the bad things, they unfold right before you. But this idea of predestination, that somehow everything is fixed and your life is just set out for you and you're just a puppet basically being run along on a string, is not really what's happening. Unlimited potential means that tomorrow is another day. Life continues on. And if for you, tomorrow is not another day, just imagine what it will be. Peace.